This live where we help you rethink your growth, your wellness, and your purpose. My name is Lissa Figgins, and it's my mission to help women to have the health, the time, and the resources to create a life that you love. And it's my intention each and every week to introduce you to an amazing woman who can inspire you and help you with that. So today I would like to introduce you to Candace Kluba. She is a mindfulness educator, a holistic fitness leader, a self-love and well-being coach. Does that sound like someone you need to know? Yes, right? She helps busy and stressed out women to find mindfulness and self-love so you can be present in your own life and improve your well-being. And I love the fact that Candace believes that self-care is not selfish. So if you need to hear that today, you are in the right place. So Candace, welcome, welcome. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you got to where you are today, doing what it is you're doing.
Sure. Hi, Lissa. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here and share my journey and my offering to women in your community. I think we're on similar pages here in our missions. So I'm super excited to be here. Thank you. So my story is definitely one of evolution and began long ago, about actually close to 11 years ago. It began with pregnancy loss, it began with infant loss, and then infertility. I went through deep grief, as one should and does when we lose our babies. And I had a lot of support, but at about 4 years later, when our rainbow baby was turning two, close to turning two, my husband snapped me into a reality with bringing to my attention that he was unhappy because our relationship hadn't really rekindled or revived itself from all the loss and the grief.
Right.
And I had kind of, I think, just, I don't want to say closed that door, but blinded myself to anything in that area, just because of the grief. And so he kind of, like I said, snapped me back into reality. Thank goodness he loves me enough to say something and do something about it, rather than just quit and run away. So we began working on a relationship. It led to me working on myself and my relationship with myself, which I didn't really know was a thing. I don't think we're really necessarily raised to think that, at least we hadn't been. I'm hoping that's changing now because I think I'm not alone in this realization. But it led to several things, and probably the biggest step that I made for myself in that direction was starting a pure romance business. I'm not sure if you know what pure romance is, but it's a direct sales and home party company like Tupperware, only with bath, beauty, massage, lingerie, bedroom accessories. And at the time, I was learning more about myself and my body. That was really good information. And I really started with the idea that, okay, I need to get out of the house more. I need to do more for me and meet more women. And I had student loan debt that was kind of, over the top.
Looming, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I started kind of with those goals in mind. And after about the first year in business, what I realized is that I learned a ton about my own sexual health that nobody was teaching really at the time. And if they were, it was maybe moms and, teaching in the homes, and nobody's really sharing a lot of that, at least not to my knowledge. And it really made a difference in my marriage, understanding my body, knowing how it works. And for myself, my relationship with myself really changed, because what happened is I realized how much I had hated my body, because in my eyes, it failed me.
Right.
When we lost babies, it was my body's fault. And it was my body that failed me and us. And I just kind of detached. And so through all of that, I found some empowerment. I found a level of self-love that I hadn't really known before. And I pulled myself up out of the hole. And then through Pure Romance, I found Patricia Moreno. I found Intensati. That's Patricia's the developer of Intensati. I found meditation, and then I found mindfulness. And I could go on about all of those things and how they, went together. But it was like everything, just the next right thing just kept coming along. And essentially what happened is I used all of these tools and resources, and I improved my relationship with myself. I found a level of well-being that led me to find to life with a led me out of a life with a full mind and autopilot and into a life with a mindful presence, and that's full of love and health instead. It's really changed my life and transformed. And when I think about, my life, while physically and on the outside, it appears very similar to what it did before, internally, it's
the difference.
So very different. So very different.
Yeah.
It's no longer a smile and I'm good. It's a feeling. And it's a presence that was never there before.
I love that. And then that has a ripple effect into everything you do. Like you said, impacting not only your marriage, but also impacting, your parenting, impacting your teaching, impacting your business, impacting the things you're doing in your community and with your extended family. I just feel like when we are better taking care of ourselves inside and out, we can better live out all those things that God has called us to. And, you're right. Like when we're a shell, when it's just, that outside smile and we're not in a healthy place on the inside, someone else may never know, but they're not going to get the best us. Right. And
Right.
So I love the fact that you've stopped and you became aware of that. And then you took steps to do that. And kudos to your husband for, like you said, being, willing to say something and to, and to kind of prod you in that direction. So one of the other things that I heard you go ahead.
Yeah. I just address it that, instead of just running away, we really, and I would never say our marriage is perfect. I don't think any marriage is perfect. It's a continual, it's always something you're addressing and working on and, trying to improve. But we're in such a much better place.
That's beautiful. That's so great. I love hearing that. Right. And one of the other things that you mentioned just really kind of triggered something that I've been thinking about and having conversations around. And that's what happens when our journey has what seem like wrong turns or stuck in the muds or, just those times when we're like, really, what in the world? Right. I'm sure when you were going through some of those things early on that you shared, you were not smiling and saying, wow, thank you for this opportunity, because this is going to turn into something great. All you can see is what's right in front of you. But I think the amazing thing about a journey towards finding your purpose is that it does include those moments, right? Because if it weren't for those moments gave you a depth and gave you a need and gave you, something inside of you that now you can give to others who've also experienced those things in a much deeper way, right, than someone who hasn't. And even just your own wellness and your own well-being, I'm sure, has been impacted and is so much more rich just because of having come from those experiences. So I think that's really neat.
As someone who's gone through the deep grief, I do not necessarily believe in the adage that everything happens for a reason. Because honestly, I can't possibly come up with a good enough reason for having lost babies. However, I do think that good things can come from bad things happening.
For sure. And it's just all, again, a part of our journey, right? And it's a part of what makes us who we are. We wouldn't be as strong and maybe as confident, in who we are now if it weren't for those times that we struggled and those times that we were questioning what was going on in our life and that type of thing. So I love that you have now taken this and really dove in for yourself, but then also turned it around and making it a way to serve others, because you're right. You are not alone. I think this is something that, whether someone has gone through infertility or, an infant dying or any of those things, we still all have struggles, right? With how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about our body, especially as it changes. My audience is typically after 40. And so a lot of things start happening and, we don't always love what we're seeing. So let's talk a little bit about some practical tips. So if a woman who's listening right now and she's, for whatever reason, just not really either loving her body or not really prioritizing self-care, what are some practical tips that you would offer for her to kind of rethink that area?
So I always say start small, right? Most women who aren't necessarily present with self-care and self-love, they find it super overwhelming to think about taking a day for themselves, or that's their only way. Like they
Like an
think
all or
a
nothing.
day, right? It's either it's all or nothing, right? And that's that's not good enough. It's not, because what you need is consistency. And so if you can start with 2 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day where you are just being with yourself, in some way. And so, that looks different for a lot of people. For me, I began listening to meditations. And I've always been a journaler, but I wasn't a consistent daily. And so I started doing that. But consistent, small chunk of time every single day can make a huge difference.
It has the compound
And
effect, right? Just those
yes,
little choices we make build up over time, just like the little negative choices or the choice not to do something compounds negatively. I love that.
yeah, just it seems small, but it's so much more doable, and it's not as overwhelming as the idea of wanting a whole day. And while taking a whole day once in a while is fantastic,
Yes.
um, it's really what matters is that small daily consistent time, that's going to make a bigger impact overall.
I love that. I
So
love
that
that.
would be my first thing. And the second thing I would say is to learn to be quiet and still.
Mm. This
Um,
is like convicting. I'm a
and
doer.
yes, yeah. And I say that because I am by nature a doer. And I have learned in my journey that life really isn't about doing. It's not. It's just not. Life is about being.
Yes.
Um, and so really, as hard as it sounds for type A and doers like myself and you, learning to be still and be quiet helped me reconnect with my body. It helped me reconnect with my mind. It helps me, find the ability to be calm and present in when I'm doing anything else or being with anybody else. Um, and it was something that was so terribly uncomfortable when I started. I
Right.
can
Almost like you don't know how to be quiet and be just
Yeah,
with yourself and feel the need to fill that space with something.
yeah, and I can recall when I was little, I used to my dad used to, like, put his hands on my arms and, "Can you just sit still for 5 seconds?" And I couldn't, and I never did until several years ago when I found the value in it.
Yes. Yes.
Um, you know, like I never knew how beneficial it could be to just sit, even if your mind wanders,
Mm.
noticing the thoughts that are popping up in your head and
Mhm.
being mindful of your body and how it feels. It really, like, just being quiet and being still and just tuning in to yourself is amazing.
Yes. And I found that oftentimes my best ideas come when I'm not, sometimes I'm doing something that's like more, like, like, um, maybe it's taking a shower or washing dishes, right? Something that's not, I'm not really engaging, a whole lot, but that's when my mind gets quiet enough that I can hear those things. And, as I'm talking with women about just discovering what their purpose is and how they want to be repurposed, I think you're right that a lot of times we just keep going and doing what we're doing, and we don't take the time to stop and notice, how do I feel? What really excites me? What makes me sad? What makes me angry? What do I feel compelled to do? What are those things that keep coming back to my thoughts that I just can't get out? And then paying attention to those. And that's where journaling can be a great tool as well, right? Because for me, I can be quiet, but if I'm at least able to write those things down, then that will help me to stay focused on the quiet. And I know that, we just said it's not about doing, but what I found is when I get quiet first and really pay attention, then I tend to be more productive, right? Like, because I know I'm focusing, number one, on the right things, and I'm not distracted and being pulled in, so many different directions. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So, there are so many, other things I know that, that you could share today, but I always like to ask, how, you're where you are right now, right? And I can tell that you're the type of person who's not done growing because you're really diving into this personal growth, self-love, like discovering this. And this is a relationship we have with our bodies, goes for as many days as God gives us, right? So it's something that we need to be prioritizing and making happen. So how are you looking to grow moving forward, and what you're doing?
Yeah. So, currently really my self-love well-being coach business is just starting, right?
Okay.
And so, gosh, I have so many things, but what I'd really love to do is grow to the point where I'm a part of women focused events. So retreats and yes, I want to have my own programs, but I really think spreading the message farther out is going to it's going to require me being a part of more groups and speaking and helping in other avenues to constantly be finding new groups to sort of spread the message and to as many women as possible. Something I've learned through Pure Romance, honestly, is that no matter how many consultants there are women that have yet to meet a consultant and utilize that consultant in any fashion. So, and we say more women are turning 18 every single day, right? Like, and I hate to think of only starting with women at 18 as well. I mean, we need our youth involved in this. We need this message to be going to young ladies. And so really I want to grow in services I'm offering, but keep them all streamlined to where it's sharing the message of, one, it's okay to be still and quiet, and it's valuable to be still and quiet. Two, the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you have, period. And the way you treat yourself and care for yourself is the model. It sets the bar for how everyone else treats you. And three, now I lost track of where I was. Three, saying no and asking for help are not bad things.
Exactly. Yes.
And
I love that.
I think society in general has steered us away from that. And I just think as a whole, we need to do more to come back to that and to be at that place where our young girls, our young women, our older women, everybody, it needs to be multi-generational, that this message is being reached.
Yes. And the whole idea of the older women teaching the younger women, and, you being further down the road to be able to say to that 14, 15-year-old girl, or that 22, 23-year-old girl, or even the 30 something girl, or even, it couldn't be somebody older, but just here's what I wish I would have known at your age, or here are some things to start thinking about or doing, or, and just to share that perspective. I think that whole mentoring philosophy is really important. And I like to say, I always like to have someone who's a little further ahead down the road than I am, that's building into me, and then have some women that I'm further down the road, so I can be building into them and help them, to be thinking ahead, and let our hindsight, right, be their foresight. And I truly believe God's given us these beautiful bodies, and we're to care for them, right? And the more better we care for them, with our mind as well as our physical bodies, the better that we're going to be able to use them to do the things that we're called to do. So I love what you're doing and how you're helping women to make this a priority, and to rethink this no matter what stage of life they are in. So I know you've got some, great resources that you would like to share. So tell us a little bit about, how can someone find you if they want to get in touch and learn a little bit more, and what do you have to offer to them today?
Sure. So I have a website. It's my name. It's www.candacekluba.com. And on that website, you will see a little bit about me. You'll see my story. You will see the services I offer. I do offer, I call it holistic fitness. The developer likes to call it spiritual fitness. But unless you're in her community, I think spiritual fitness is a little bit rougher. It's really mind, body, and spirit. And it is a more intense kind of cardio class. But it has some slower moments where we do lower body and stretching, and it has meditation involved in it. And it's really a fabulous workout as well. But again, it's not just about your body, it's about your mind and heart as well. And so there is a sample class that you can find on my website. I did find a way to get it on my website, but I'll attach it in the comments as well. And so there's a sample class you can see, but I do events for classes, for groups. I do them regularly, or we can schedule like one-time events. I also have group coaching and individual coaching, and that's outlined on there as well. I have a blog and a newsletter, so I do some writing, and all of that's available through the website. And to follow me on social media, you can just look me up or click me in the links and find me. And that's really where most of my things are at.
Fantastic. We will go ahead and put your links in the notes section, so anyone who's listening can go and grab them there. And I highly recommend reach out, take a look, right? See what it is that people like Candace are doing that can help you, or maybe help someone right? I think oftentimes, we just we want to help other people to be well too. And so if you're thinking of someone else right now too who might need to hear what Candace has to share, definitely, please pass this on to them, because we want to, help as many women as possible to be well in their mind, their body, and their spirit, for sure. So thank you so much, Candace, for your generosity in that. I truly appreciate that. What I am offering, if you are wanting to make self-care a priority, I have put together a healthy day guide with 3 keys to a healthy day. And I love the fact that it does include the mind, the body, as well as, what we're doing, because really all of those things work together. And so I will put the link to that down in the notes section as well. And please feel free to go and grab that and use that resource to help you to, create those healthy habits in your day, so that you can be really taking good care of yourself. So thank you so much, Candace, for being here today. I really appreciate you and what you're doing. Thank you to everyone who's listening today. And just a reminder that, you can live repurposed. Just keep rethinking your priorities of growth, wellness, and purpose, so that you can create a life that you love. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.